Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Mean Streets, powered by FTN, presented by Game Plus Network. Chris Meaney here with you. Thanks, as always, for taking the time to hang out. If you are watching on Game Plus Network, this will be the only episode on Game Plus Network this week. We're taking a little bit of a break, but we'll still be rolling here. Mean Streets will continue. No show on Tuesday or Wednesday. We'll be back at it on Thursday and Friday. So if you do want to hang out with us, we ask you to subscribe to our FTN YouTube page, absolutely free. You can listen to this show as well on iTunes or Spotify or wherever it is that you listen to your favorite podcast. Is this your favorite? I don't know. It can't be your favorite. But if you do want to hang out this week, we will be having some shows, but only just this one today on Game Plus Network. So it's over. Football season is over, but it never stops, right? Today on this show, we will recap last night's game, the Los Angeles Rams Super Bowl champs, and I thought it was a great game. I really did. I thought it was, a lot like some of these playoff games that we've seen. It was close. It came down to the very end. It was decided by a field goal game or by a field goal. And selfishly on this show, we have to be pretty happy with how things went. From a prop standpoint, not so much. My bad. I owe you guys quite a bit when it comes to some props, and maybe we can start to get some money back when we talk to some NHL picks here today. There's 4 games on the ice. We'll talk some picks, some sides, and some props, and Tino's going to drop by. There's a handful of games in the association, 9 NBA games, so we'll dive into that in a little bit. The Raptors are on the schedule. We've been giving a lot of love to Gary Trent Jr. Maybe we attack his prop point tonight as well. But yesterday, from a prop standpoint, well, it wasn't good. I don't really think I hit on a whole lot. You guys know that I was really in on Odell Beckham Jr. Had the same game parlay for him and T. Higgins to score and Higgins over the yards. But OBJ leaving that game yesterday it stunk, man. It was tough to see for him, Rams fans and, just football fans in general. And he was off to a really good start. Of course, he had the touchdown. He had a couple catches, and I believe he was just 10 yards shy of topping his yard prop. And, Stafford kind of underthrew him on that ball, and, he kind of checked up, and it looks like all initial reports sound like he tore his ACL, the same knee that he tore a couple of years ago. So that's tough for Odell Beckham Jr., but he does have a championship ring now to talk about. But overall, when I say selfishly, we're pretty happy because something we talked about on the show for 2 weeks, myself and Tino, he's got some tickets. I got some tickets here. I've seen some tickets from some supporters on Mean Streets as well. We are on the Rams to win the Super Bowl in September at 14-1. We talked about the Rams winning the game yesterday, but the Bengals keeping it close at plus 4.5. I think the difference in the game ultimately was, not just me and Tino talking about it. Guests came in, you guys hanging out with the show on the show as well. Ultimately, it came down to Cooper Kupp and Aaron Donald. Did it not? It's kind of what it came down to at the end of the day was the pass rush was just too much for Joe Burrow and company. He was sacked 7 times, tied for the most ever in a Super Bowl game. And, Donald got to him twice, got to him at the end. It wasn't a sack, but he forced the incompletion. And Cooper Kupp was a beast on that final drive. He really was. It was a 15-play drive to cap it off for Matthew Stafford. It was a terrific drive. There's a couple moments that stand out to me in that drive. The 4th and 3, I think there was 4th and 3 when Cooper Kupp, a little bit of an end around, and he ran that for the first down. And Stafford just going to him, right? He was a bit quiet. I thought when Odell Beckham Jr. went down, the offense kind of stalled. They're already without Tyler Higbee, and then all of a sudden Odell Beckham Jr. is not playing. And, since he did a pretty good job of taking away Cooper Kupp, except for that final drive, they left him open in the end zone once. Certainly, again, puzzling to see Cooper Kupp wide open in the end zone. But I thought they did an okay job of taking him away. But at the end of the day, Stafford on that final drive just didn't care and had to go to Cooper Kupp. He made the terrific no-look pass, which kind of set them up inside field goal range, and they were able to continue and find a way to get in the end zone. There's a couple ticky-tacky calls towards the end, but also we saw Tyler Higbee get away with the face mask as well. I thought the refs did an okay job for the most part putting their whistles away. I thought it was a fantastic game. I know some people were on the Bengals here. George, we appreciate you. As always, some fantastic stuff that George and Tino did all week long. Multiple weeks here. It was a grind, the NFL season, not just on this show doing great stuff, but Touchdown Town. We had the big Super Game show as well. Fantastic stuff from those two guys and a lot of work put in. I know George was on the Bengals, but they hung around. They did what they could. I thought it was a pretty good game ultimately. And I thought the halftime show was pretty good as well. I know some people are complaining. For me, I wanted to see more. When it was over, I was like, really? I needed to see more. There's a couple more Dre and Snoop songs I would have liked to hear. There was a little bit of a moment where I forgot about Dre was there, just, the chorus. But I thought it was okay. From a production standpoint, it wasn't phenomenal, right? Not like Super Bowl's halftime shows in the past, like big production. That wasn't there. The sound, not fantastic, but that's what you get, when there's some hip hop. But I thought it really brought me back. I thought it was great. Dre starting, something that we hit on Jake's show, All in Football, at 6-1. Dre starting, Snoop going. It was great, right? Had a little piano work, a little shout out, I Am Mad at You, a little Tupac shout out there. So it was pretty good, man. It really brought me back. I would have liked to see a little bit more. I didn't think they needed to bring out 50. I'm not surprised they brought out 50. They brought out 50. His boy, Dre was kind of showing, like, these are my people. I kind of own hip hop, you know what I mean? So he brought out 50, and I thought maybe less 50 and another Dre and Snoop song together would have been fantastic. But I thought it was pretty good, man. No complaints. Tino's going to drop by. We're going to talk about this game quite a bit. Cooper Kupp, your MVP, something else we had in the bet tracker at 7-1. So, again, no complaints. The props were brutal. I really owe you guys from some props. Didn't get anything that I wanted. OBJ left the game early. Can make excuses. It did look like he was on his way to get the yards. We didn't get the attempts or the completions, not even really close, from Joe Burrow. Tino was on 3 passes, right? We saw that with Mixon. It was a little bit of Cincy special with Mixon tossing a touchdown pass there. So it wasn't all bad here on this show, but for me, prop standpoint, didn't get a whole lot. I was a little surprised that Darrell Henderson was sprinkled in as much as he was, but the Rams couldn't get the run game going at all. I thought Cincinnati did a pretty good job. Yesterday, but that's going to be the talk in Cincy, is bolstering the offensive line and protecting Joe Burrow, right? They've gotten a couple nice pieces for Burrow over the 2 years since they've had him, right? They got T. Higgins with their second pick after taking Burrow with their first. Got Chase, clearly is going to be a superstar in the NFL. Now it's all about protecting Joe Burrow and the offensive line, just like last year's Super Bowl. It kind of seems like the same, right? The Bucs getting after Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs doing what they can to fix the offensive line and protect Patrick Mahomes. That's going to be the focus in Cincinnati, to do what they can to protect Joe Burrow and company. But I do believe we'll see the Bengals back there. We'll take a look at early futures. The Chiefs and the Bills are favored. We'll take a look at that here soon. Yes, McCormick, I was going to save it for Tino. To me, that was a big turning point in the game. And for those that are hanging out on Game Plus, you can't see the comments here. 3rd and 2? Was it 3rd and 2? 45 seconds left in the game. Joe Mixon's on the sidelines, and they decide to run with Samaje Perine. Right? I mean, I don't think I need to explain any more than that. I mean, Zach Taylor did an okay job. He definitely looked like a young coach in the Super Bowl. Didn't have a lot of experience. Was on the Sean McVay coaching staff when the Rams were there against Bill Belichick and the Patriots a couple years ago. He's the quarterback coach there. That was a play where I was like, I don't know. And he was so aggressive the first drive or the second drive when they went for it right around midfield and they didn't get it. I didn't think that they should have gone for it then either, but that to me was a puzzling play. I didn't think that, in a play that you need here, clearly they were going to go for it on 4th down. I would have liked to see them maybe throw or have Joe Mixon running out of the backfield, not Samaje Perine. I think when Zach Taylor is looking back at that, that's going to be one play that he probably regrets calling for sure. We'll break. We'll bring in Tino. We'll talk more about the game. We'll have a conversation about looking forward. On this show, we really will start to turn the page, obviously, from this past season. Take a look at the new coaching hires. Take a look at the new schemes that are going to be on these teams. Who's going to benefit? There's still a lot of moving pieces. We're going to see some quarterbacks get shuffled, free agency, draft. It really doesn't stop. The NFL continues all year long. And we'll also turn the page maybe and talk a little bit about MLB futures as well, as this is kind of where I'd like to turn the page from football and dive into the MLB. 10 minutes already. Feels like a new season, but it's the same old show here on Mean Streets. We'll bring in Tino next. Keep her locked. Welcome back in. Mean Streets here live on a Game Plus Network. Those hanging out on our FTN YouTube page, we appreciate you as well. If you could smash the like button, tell a friend about the show. We're going to start incorporating some more giveaways as well, as we really are going to start to turn the page into some MLB stuff as well. Tino, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing my best to turn the page for the MLB season. I'm wearing a World Series hat. I got my New York Mets sweatshirt on. Unfortunately, a deal went out Saturday that we haven't heard any news from yet. So I don't know. We don't know if the season's going to start on time or not. Probably not. Here we are. We're trying to turn the page, but we still got yesterday to talk about. So let's not get ahead of ourselves, I guess, right?
Yeah, George is like, it's baseball season. It's over. Come on, like football's done. Let's start talking baseball. Hopefully soon. But yeah, we will start to have some guests here on the show that are a part of the FTN MLB package that we have, which is live and it's fantastic. There's a lot of amazing content already live over at ftnfantasy.com. So, all right, man, Super Bowl. I know that you're pretty happy with the result as well. It's something that we've talked a lot about on this show. We were on the Rams midseason to win this Super Bowl at 14-1. We talked about if you had that ticket to kind of just not just to take the Bengals on the money line, to take the 4.5 and get both sides of it. And you know what? It did work out pretty well for you in particular as well.
I don't think it could have worked out better. I also want to say that I was able to do a little conspiracy theory. If you remember at the end of the show on Friday, I said I think I got the Gatorade color figured out. It's a small bet, but I said we're going to bet orange at plus 300, blue at plus 400, and we're coming up a unit either way. Came out blue. Let's go. We got another win for the boys. Very small, but
perfect.
Cornered the market. I figured it had to be one of the two colors, pretty common Gatorade colors. So yeah, we got some hits. I was telling you, we got the player pass attempts, which I gave out on this show. Wish we took the player touchdown with that, at 14-1. But hey, you know what? Can't have your cake and eat it too all the time, right? We got the middle, and I think that's the best thing we could have got out of this.
It was really nice to get the game, to be on the Rams, and the futures have been okay. Again, not trying to pat myself on the back here, but the future's been okay on this show, right? We get the Braves to start the season. Didn't get the Braves at 30-1 when they started to spiral out of control, but we had them in the preseason. We had Shohei. We had the Canadiens to win the Stanley Cup. We had a great hedge spot last year, so that was okay. Clearly, we weren't on them this year, but we'll take a look at the futures. It's a little too early, I think, to lay juice down on some futures. There's a lot of moving pieces that are going to happen in the NFL, but super thrilled to be able to get this side of it we kind of painted how the game was going to go, man, and it's kind of really how it went. I mean, Kupp was a beast on that final drive, got the MVP, kind of just a great bookend season for him. Didn't get the season MVP, but it was the NFL Offensive Player of the Year. Some statistics here from Field Yates that he tweeted out over his 21 games. 178 catches, 2,400 yards, 22 touchdowns. NFL regular season receiving triple crown, unanimous All-Pro, most catches in a singles postseason with 33. NFL Offensive Player of the Year and Super Bowl MVP. The guy was a beast all year long, and he showed up when it mattered and when they needed him the most on that final drive.
Pretty good season, I'd say. Nice little icing on the cake there. Yeah, and since we're talking about Cooper Kupp, I got to mention it. Eli Apple. That's if you want some free comedy. I am not on Twitter as much as the next person, but you don't have to go very far to go on Twitter and just see all the trash being thrown at Eli Apple, and deservingly so. He went through the entire AFC North. That's mainly what it is. You got the Chiefs, you got the Ravens, you got a lot of Pittsburgh Steelers throwing shade at him, and good. Yeah, if you're gonna talk the talk, gotta walk the walk, right? And we said it, right? What are you gonna do? I guess it was good coverage on that game-winning touchdown to Kupp, right? He had a hand in the pocket. Kupp just made a great play on a back shoulder fade, but it was a hold, right? He had the penalty, he left him wide open in the play before he got roasted, and he has the one clip where his teammate didn't even help him up. So it's good comedy. We like to see some trolls after the Super Bowl, right? It doesn't hurt.
No, it doesn't hurt. I mean, again, it's so tough to defend Cooper Kupp, especially in that situation where, for the most part, I mean, I can't even think of his 22 touchdowns, how many were fades. A couple. Like, you don't really expect him to run a fade in that situation. I mean, he's such a terrific route runner, but credit to Matthew Stafford. And I know Kupp is getting a lot of the credit here. I mean, credit across the board to the Rams, right? They went all in. They traded all these first-round picks. Von Miller was a factor yesterday. It's nice to see Aaron Donald get his. Andrew Whitworth is obviously a guy they brought in years ago, a former Bengal, but the oldest starter to win a Super Bowl. That's pretty significant for sure. And again, Matthew Stafford and OBJ, these guys were able to take them to the next step and get that Super Bowl because you just don't normally see that. When a team goes all in, I think of super teams. Clearly, I'm going to think of the Eagles, of course, but when they made that super team, when they were signing everyone, they didn't even sniff the playoffs, right? Like, it's tough to get all the pieces together, and it worked out perfectly for them. What do you think overall of the game, though? Like, what did you make of the game?
So I was thinking about a good way to sum it up, and it's kind of a jab in a sense, but I do think that Bengals lost the game more than the Rams necessarily won, just from this point. I think early on they controlled the game, but to what you said, I think anyone who watched that game start to finish, the second OBJ went out, it was a different Rams team, right? Kupp saved them and bailed them out down the stretch there. But the Bengals have plenty of opportunities. Now, like, they had the lead. They changed that momentum around as soon as the second half started, right? As soon as that fantastic halftime show ended, all of a sudden the Bengals are up. They almost went up 2 scores. They ended up going up 10. But it was like, all right, well, what's going on here? Like, this is a totally new ball game. And they let it slip away. And you could talk about the P. Ryan rush there, with 45 seconds left. And I get it. They kind of got cute. They didn't want him to take a sack, I'd imagine, especially because on 2nd and 1 the play before, he threw it away. I don't really know what the play was on that. I think
that's right. It was 3rd and 1 on that play. It was
3rd and 1. And then he takes a sack the next play anyways, or what could have been a sack. I don't know. I get the run call from the point of view of they couldn't guard Aaron Donald. I think the only way to really do anything against him is try to run past him. But in that spot, to what you said, maybe they thought they wouldn't see it coming, but I don't know, man. Like, I just feel like the Bengals had plenty of opportunities there to win the game. They were down in the red zone when they took that last field goal. It was another 3rd and 1, I believe, or 3rd and 2. I feel like Burrow could have got the ball out a little quicker. I think Chase was open. Like, there were missed opportunities. I think that's my biggest takeaway, as unfortunate and as hindsight as that sounds. I just think the Bengals, it was a field goal game. I think it was like the playoffs we saw all year long. It was down to the wire as we expected. I just think the Bengals had more opportunities than meet the eye to win that game. I actually think they were, after OBJ went down, they might have been the better team when you think about it. I think they were humming offensively, and, the offensive line kind of let them down there.
Yeah, for sure. The offensive line did let him down. And he checks in. We would have questioned any play that failed at that moment. Probably.
Sure.
I mean, that's what we do. That's what we're here to kind of break down the games and, to dive into it a little bit deeper.
Look, for that bad call, he runs the Cincy special, right? You give credit, but at the same time, because the Rams had the same call. They ran the ball down in the red zone on a riskier second down, right, with the clock ticking, but you try to move the chains. Like, it's not necessarily the wrong call. It's just, again, of course, it's hindsight, but it ends up kind of shooting you in the foot a little bit when, we get to do this because, we're covering the game the day after, like, it's what you're supposed to do, but yeah, I mean, I think there were other plays outside of that, though. I think that there were opportunities there where, missed protections, leaving Aaron Donald one-on-one a majority of the second half is a head scratcher to me as well. Like, there are certain plays throughout that second half, even though they capitalized early, that could have cemented them this win, and it kind of just slipped through their fingers.
The P. Ryan thing is puzzling. I mean, 3rd and 1, just to even have him on the field, and I know that he was playing, all year. He was kind of their 3rd down back, and he's had some moments here in the playoffs. He had the nice catch and run for a touchdown against the Chiefs. But for me, I would just like to see Joe Mixon on the field. Like, his ceiling is a little bit higher. He's a better pass blocker as well compared to Samaje Perine. So it was a little odd to see him on the field in that game. But I guess the only thing Cooper Kupp can't do is throw a pass, right? He had Matthew Stafford wide open there, and he tossed that one well over his head. I thought that was a pretty good play call.
We also smashed 2.5 when you think about it. It was over 2.5. We should have taken it at 3.5. Dang.
Yeah, we got four passing plays yesterday as well.
We also saw a couple other things. Stafford interception. We were on. I don't think it was an official play, but we talked it up. Burrow did not.
The whole world was on that one.
Yeah, and we had a feeling we were kind of teetering on Burrow, but it was just like the guy just doesn't do it right. I mean, he did get sacked a ton. I want to give credit to the Rams too on that final go-ahead drive. Right, we highlighted the refs. Maybe bail them out. Still a 15-play, 80-yard drive to win the game, right? I don't want to take that away from them. They had to go the length of the field to do that. Not easy, man. And like we said, I really think this team was a shell of themselves without Odell. As crazy as that sounds, but Odell came on. They kind of looked like this when they first added Odell, right? When everyone was clowning them, me included, about the Odell curse, so on and so forth, because they didn't have Robert Woods. It was kind of that looking offense again, all of a sudden without Odell in there. And because it let the Bengals double Kupp and it forced them to try to run the ball. And Darrell Henderson's back there getting carries, right? Killing our Sony Michel prop bets. And so it was weird. The Rams offense got weird all of a sudden, and they were able to put it together for that one drive, and it's really all they needed.
Yeah, you got the board with some of the statistics just because, everyone knows here watching, but George did some work for us. So we got this, Gilden checks in with Eric Weddle as well. He retired a month ago. That's a wild story for sure. This guy was just playing pickup basketball just to kind of hang out and just be, just to continue to be, get in shape until they got the call. And not only did he get the call to play on the Rams, he was calling plays for them. He was a big part of that defense. So that is a pretty spectacular story as well. So Kupp MVP. I feel like a sucker for the show on Friday, the big super game show that we had. I kind of came off the Kupp MVP, but we had it in the bet tracker at 7-1. Hopefully you guys were able to hit that. I kind of changed my tune towards closer to kickoff because I just thought Odell was going to have such a monster game. And it did look like he was going to have a monster game. And I thought if Kupp and Beckham have monster games, then it's going to go to Matthew Stafford. Nonetheless, Kupp gets the 2 TDs, 92 receiving yards. So he was under his receiving yard prop. He was at 8 catches. He was under his 8.5. Stafford, 283, just gets over his passing yard total. Depending on where you look, there was a couple different spots for him, but he tosses 3 touchdowns. I thought he was just a boss, man, on that final drive. I thought he was fantastic. Burrow, 263 yards at the touchdown, and Higgins has a big game with 100 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns, and really did get away with that face mask. And that's kind of where the game started to turn, I thought. Right after the halftime there, you get that big play, and all of a sudden the Rams, to your point, they couldn't get going, man. Losing Odell, all of a sudden you're without Tyler Higbee, who was a big part of their offense as well, some blocking and a bit of a safety valve on third down for Matthew Stafford. That's it, man. I don't think I really have too much more to say. I thought it was a pretty entertaining game. I thought the entire playoffs, apart from the first round, where there was some blowouts, for the most part, all these games were field goal games, and they came down to final plays.
I will stir the pot a little bit. I was kind of surprised that Kupp won the MVP, if I'm going to be honest. I think maybe if Stafford doesn't throw 2 interceptions, he gets it. I don't know. For that reason, right? 15-play drive. I think he did everything he needed to do. It's not like Kupp exploded, right? 8 receptions, 92 yards. Incredible game, 2 touchdowns. I'm not saying that. Not Cooper Kupp-esque, though, that we're used to, right? Didn't hit his over-under, even though it's set over 100 every game at this point. It's just I thought they were going to bow down to the quarterback, always getting the MVP trophy in this case. Maybe it was a makeup call for him not getting MVP, but I felt like this was the very Super Bowl down-the-middle situation they always have. It could go to a few people. I heard someone say maybe Aaron Donald could have got it. I don't know about that. He did have a couple sacks. I thought Stafford was going to get it. I was a little surprised that Kupp ended up getting it. But, is what it is. It's not like it wasn't well-deserved. Right. It's just, I expected some flowers to go Stafford's way.
You wonder if it's okay, well, he had such a good season and Rodgers got the MVP. You just wonder about that stuff. I wonder about it anyways. But you're right. I thought it was going to go to Stafford. Just that drive that he had. He orchestrated that drive, but it was Kupp.
The no-look pass to Kupp,
The no-look pass was terrific. If it was Mahomes or Lamar, we're sitting here drooling over it today. And nobody's really talking about it. It was a terrific no-look pass. He's looked over to the right, and he hit him in stride. It was a beautiful throw. And I see Andy's comment as well. The ref did announce that wasn't a penalty. It was clearly a face mask. I'd like to pick on Ramsey just like everybody else out there, but it was clearly a face mask, and he kind of spun him around. And it was for a game that really the refs put their whistles away. It was one where it's okay, maybe you shouldn't have put your whistle away on that one. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. I want to get your thoughts on the halftime show. I'd like to hear other people's thoughts on the halftime show as well. And then we will officially start to turn the page, and we'll take a look at early 2022-2023 futures in the NFL. We also have NHL picks and NBA picks to get to here on Mean Streets. Keep her locked. Welcome back into Mean Streets here on Game Plus Network. Chris Meaney and Tino Rodriguez. A Super Bowl middle. Tino and I are pretty happy today. Sean McCormick says he was able to nail a, was that 60-1 same game parlay? Not bad, dude. Not bad at all. It's pretty good. You only need to hit one when you hit something like that. The only same game parlay I hit was a small one with Higgins and OBJ to have a touchdown. As you guys know, it was just all over Odell Beckham Jr., over receiving yards, over catches. I was really in on him. And I need one more rushing attempt from Joe Burrow. I had Donald and Von Miller to have a sack, each team to have a field goal. And I had one more on there, was Burrow rushing attempts. Didn't get that one either. But for the most part, we'd be pretty happy here. I'm just seeing some breaking news. You guys, Tino, you won't totally care about it. This is something I thought was going to happen. It kind of breaks my heart a little bit, but more reason to get on the Calgary Flames. It does sound like the Flames and the Canadiens are working on a deal to send Tyler Toffoli to Calgary. I think that's something I actually called on this show, that Calgary would add offensively, and Tyler Toffoli could be one of those guys. So Darren Dreger says Flames and Canadiens working on a trade to send Toffoli to Calgary. Both teams say it's not done yet. That would be a terrific ad. I really do believe in this Flames team. We gave Jacob Markstrom as a Vezina. I think it was 22-1 at the time. I'm seeing him 14-1 now.
I have him at 16. I was waiting.
You got him. You jumped in.
Listen, blindly betting hockey is the name of the game on this show. It's 16. You tell me a guy's pitching shutouts and he should be, ahead of the pack, and the line's going to move at 22-1. I got it at 16. It's at 14 now. I missed the number, but I still got it. So.
Yeah, wow. PointsBet has him at 10-1. It has significantly changed here over the last 3 or 4 days. Caesars 20-1, BetMGM 16, DK 15, PointsBet 10. I know those north of the border who play on or who use Bet365. I know he was 12-1 or 14-1 as well. So things, you got to jump on this now before the trade deadline happens, because once these teams add, that's it. The value will be gone. We'll get into the Flames' future in just a little bit. Reunites Toffoli with Sutter. Great trade for the Flames. If it does indeed happen, it'd be a massive pickup for them. Absolutely agree. It's kind of the one thing they're missing is just a little bit more scoring punch. They're terrific on the blue line, and Markstrom's a stud. Yeah, 8 shutouts, 4 more than anybody else. And the way that the Flames are so stingy probably racks up double-digit shutouts. Andy, I agree. They need to review that play. I would like to see more plays reviewable. I'd just like to see things get correct. I just want them correct. That's it. I just can't even speak correctly here myself, but that's what I would like to see. Plays that are picked up correctly.
Reviews don't always get it correct though. That's the problem.
They don't. I know. What's the ref? Can't the ref just say that they got it wrong too? Looking at it and saying that there's nothing there is also. Yeah, it's a head scratcher.
I also think we're mad that the refs got involved late in the game. The best part about that Super Bowl, I think, is that it was very action-packed. It was moving. There were no interruptions. The Zebras weren't involved. And so if we're slowing down the game for a 10 to 15-minute review, and, that sounds dramatic, but that's how long some of these things take sometimes in a controversial game like that. I don't know. I don't love reviews. It was more that I think the pass interference review just ruined it for everyone. I don't know if they'll ever do it again because of how consistently inconsistent that review process was. So I don't know. I don't think reviews are always better. The MLB does it too. Everyone complains about the speed of the MLB preview right here. The review systems in the MLB is still terrible too, right? They barely get it right half the time anyway. So I don't know.
I know. It's just fine line. Right. What'd you make of the halftime show? Because I see some people are complaining. I enjoyed it. Didn't get enough. I think that was it. They expected more. High expectations, I think, heading in.
50 Cent, I think, steals the show because he was upside down, and no one's talking about how he's wearing the heavy 50 chain that was in his face while he's hanging upside down. No one gave him the memo that he was probably going to be upside down until that moment because he probably shouldn't have worn that chain while that was happening. Yeah, didn't expect him to come out. Eminem, I thought maybe we'd get more, but I kept telling people, if you really listen to Eminem's music, there's not much other than Lose Yourself you can play anymore. Not out around people. Eminem has some controversial music out there. So, and then he took the controversial knee, which apparently the NFL didn't want. So maybe we rule out any other Eminem halftime show performances moving forward, unfortunately.
So I wonder about that knee. Was it Kaepernick? It seems like it could have been Kaepernick, but at the same time, Dre starts playing I Am Mad at You, Tupac on the piano. So it could have been, a bit of a tribute to Tupac. We saw, I personally saw, some people in the background there, just, go on, not on one knee, but kind of put their head down as well. It could have been a bit of both. I mean, we've seen, if you follow Eminem and you listen to some of his music, he is pretty, adamant about, the Kaepernick thing. He has talked about that before. So the NFL did say they didn't want him to kneel. He went and did it anyways. Eminem kind of does what he wants, but it could have been a little bit of both. He probably wanted to do it for Kaepernick and figured, you know what, I'll pick the time to do it when Dre plays on the piano. A little tribute to Pac, right?
I also loved how he came up with the whole producer table in front of him with all the soundboard stuff, and like it looked like he was coming through his house, which is awesome. And then Snoop killed it. I mean, what could you not love? I mean, he was just kind of walking throughout the entire building. He was
his
spry. Yeah, he was killing it. He was in the jumpsuit, so he was looking good. Now, I don't know if we want to transition yet because Gilden's going to have to get the hard no on this one. But he said Titans 22-1 to win the Super Bowl next year. No, unless Rodgers goes there, right? The Rodgers report about him buying a property in Nashville. Unless that happens, it's a no.
We could transition into that. The one thing I will say is I wanted to hear nothing but a G thing. That's what I wanted. I wanted a little bit more Droop and Snoop. Wow, I can include them. I wanted a little bit more Dre and Snoop in there towards the end. Maybe a little bit more Snoop.
They played the beat of nothing but a G thing. Yeah, they did.
They kind of did. Yeah, there was some teases in there where they only had so much time. I believe they were on stage for 14, 17 minutes roughly. Yeah. So they only had so much time to get into it, right? Forgot about Dre would have been nice, and Eminem coming up did the chorus and that, but a little bit more.
Well, and we love Mary J. We love Mary J. But I think she did have a little too much time, if I'm being honest. But that's
2 songs for her.
That's the last of that, and the last one took a while. She had like a whole solo with it. She dropped to the ground, which is a meme now. It was a lot. It was a lot. Give me more Dre.
There's got to be some memes out there. Yeah, always more Dre. But man, I read that Dre put like $7 million of his own money into that, all the production, right, to kind of amp it up a bit. But that was pretty cool. Not gonna lie, that was pretty cool. I love myself some hip hop, so obviously I would have liked pretty much anything that they did. Let's transition into early Super Bowl futures here. So of course the Chiefs are up the top. This is from DraftKings Sportsbook. We always plug the free prop shop parlay calculator over at ftnbets.com to get the best possible odds. But something that we talked, just as I mentioned, the Flames getting ahead, there's always a bit of risk here depending on what you're going to put down. You're going to put down heavy bucks, couple units on some of these teams. Things will change. There's going to be some quarterback movement. Daniel Kelly is putting something up on ftnfantasy.com here today, I believe. He asked me to give all the starting quarterbacks, and there's going to be some names that move around. Russell Wilson going to be gone. Kyler seems unhappy. Where's Aaron Rodgers going to go? Is Brady officially done? Jimmy Garoppolo maybe goes to a veteran team like Pittsburgh. Maybe he goes to Washington. There's, Denver's looking obviously for a veteran quarterback. We could see potentially the Titans move away from Ryan Tannehill. They got obviously a couple nice weapons offensively. Just, have a quarterback that can take care of the football. Tannehill didn't really do a great job of that this season. So there's something to be said about jumping in early, but also, on the flip side, things could change the other way, where maybe the Titans hang on to Ryan Tannehill. You don't love them as much at 22-1. I mean, they were basically 22-1 to win the Super Bowl as the number 1 seed all year long. We didn't love that bet, but not taking shots at you, Gilden. There is a bit of value there to be had. What jumps out at you here? When you're looking at some of these teams. I think, honestly, the Packers at 16-1 stands out to me.
Yeah, for sure. Well, this might be another jab at Gilden, too, because I know he had a futures bet on this as well. What stands out to me is the Dallas Cowboys at 14-1 with the fourth best odds. How and why?
It's like the Leafs in the NHL.
How much longer will this go on? We're not talking about win the NFC. This is to win a Super Bowl. They shouldn't have the fourth best odds. It's ridiculous.
They're a big market team. You know what it is? They're a big market team. People are going to bet on them regardless, and then books are saying, well, if you're going to bet on them at 14-1, you're going to bet them at 10-1. You're definitely going to bet on them at 20-1. We don't want to lose that money in case it happens. Like Tiger Woods a couple years ago. I want to say this, and George is hanging out. Tiger Woods a couple years ago when he won the Masters, I believe he was like 18-1, 20-1. There was no reason for him to be 20-1. He should have been like 80-1. It was crazy that he won, but think about the money they would have lost on everybody betting on Tiger. I feel like that's kind of how it goes. They're a big market team. Everyone loves the Cowboys. Well, you love them, you hate them, but they're quote-unquote America's team. But you're right. They shouldn't have the fourth best odds to win the Super Bowl.
And it's like they have better odds than the 49ers who beat them in the postseason in Dallas this year. Like, I get the division. I get maybe they're going young with quarterback. It's just like, I don't know. That's almost like a respect thing. Like, I understand why books are doing it. Like that's not the point. It's just year in, year out, just blows my mind, right? A team that was just in the Super Bowl with the Bengals, right, probably can only get better, and they're at shorter odds. I don't know. It's just, it scratches your head. Like, whenever I see those, I typically don't put any futures football bets in until like the decisions are made, like with quarterbacks the last few years.
Same.
So I was on Bucks, I was on the Rams. I know what you're saying. Super teams tend to not win, but the trend has been working that way. I guess they were the home teams too in the Super Bowl, so that played into it. But I'll wait for the dust to settle a little bit. But early reaction is just like, how? Like, I guess on paper, best rosters, but I don't buy it, man. 14-1, I wouldn't touch that. I wouldn't touch that with your money or Gilden's money.
16-1 would be. I think Rodgers stays, but if you were to put down some money on 16-1 and Rodgers left, I mean, you're lighting your money. You just throw the ticket out. You're not going to win it unless Brady decides to come back and he goes to play for the Packers.
I want to look at it. The value, though, to your point, the value's got to be on an NFC team, right? I think when we talk about the landscape, we talked about how much of a toss-up the South will be with the Bucks being where they are and the Saints being in the position they're in. Then the North, say Rodgers does leave, and maybe he goes out to the AFC. The North is automatically a toss-up. I don't see an AFC North team on here other than the Packers. So if I'm looking at that, and then the NFC, the NFC East, the Eagles were, a playoff team. I'm just saying, I'm not, I'm a Giant fan. It's just they have 2 first-round picks. I think if you're looking for, like, if you really want to take a dart throw, I'm looking NFC all the way because I'm looking at one of these deeper teams that people are overlooking that could have a good draft and maybe some money to spend this offseason. Get them over, 30-1. Like the Cardinals, I don't really have interest in with their controversy, but I think there's value in the NFC to take a shot on.
Yeah, I think so too, because the AFC is stacked with quarterbacks. And if we do see Russell Wilson get traded or Aaron Rodgers leaves and goes to the AFC, then the NFC is completely wide open, to your point. Maybe that's part of it with the Dallas Cowboys. They do have a good quarterback and a good offense. So seeing them there, and then Kyler, there seems to be obviously a bit of a rift there as well. We do have to break and get out of here. Longer shots, I'm not really seeing a ton of them. But the Steelers at 50-1, if they can get a capable quarterback, I still believe the defense is okay. They do have weapons, right? Obviously, fixing the offensive line is going to be key for them as well. But they're the one team that's not on that list that I don't mind at 51. Heck, the Eagles could trade those 3 first picks and Hurts and get a guy like Russell Wilson. Maybe we look at them a little bit different as well. We'll keep an eye on everything as things change a little bit. Meanie, please don't compare Tiger to the Cowboys ever again. That was pretty bad. That was pretty bad. We got some NHL picks here next, and Tino's going to stop by in a little bit later on. We got some NBA stuff as well. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back in here to Mean Streets. Just getting official word here now that the trade is officially official as my forehead is cut off, but this is what we do on live television. We're all good here. So it does look like the Habs have traded Tyler Toffoli to the Flames for Tyler Pitlick, first-round pick and a fifth-round pick. There's got to be a little bit something more there too. So I don't know. We'll keep an eye on that. I think maybe a prospect would be involved in first and a fifth, and like I don't know. It's just gonna happen. The Habs are just gonna start. I mean, you taking them on the puck line. They lost on Saturday and on Sunday by 2 goals as well. I mean, those puck line. It's gonna start. The puck line's gonna be like 2.5 now when it comes to Canadiens games because they're losing by 3 or 4. With Toffoli and some of their decent players. So they're going to start selling house here pretty quickly. 4 games on the ice, got some picks, got some shot props. You know, you can start with whatever you want. We can roll through this this is kind of where I wanted to start as well. But Myron, horrible trade for the Habs, but whatever. They're just going to start shipping dudes off for picks, man. That's all it's going to be. Too bad. It's crazy how quickly things have changed, right? Just like 7 months ago, the Canadiens are in the Stanley Cup Finals, rolling with all their pieces offensively, and Tyler Toffoli's been awesome since he was a Hab, and he's been great for Suzuki and company, but 'tis what it is. Mitch Marner over 2.5 shots, Patrick Kane over 3.5, and Evander Kane has finally moved to 3.5 as well, plus money. I think some spots you can find 2.5. It's juiced to the over. He's got a matchup here against his former team in the San Jose Sharks. We can talk about the revenge all you want. I do think he finds the back of the net. He was shipped, but he was moved to the second line playing with Leon Draisaitl over the weekend, but he's cleared 2.5 shots in all 6 of his games as a member of the Edmonton Oilers. His last 3 games, 3 shots, 6 and 5. So he's only cleared 3.5 in 2 of his past 3. But he has a great matchup here against San Jose. Clearly, there's going to be a bit of a revenge. Somebody asked me about revenge stuff. It's a fun narrative. I think across all of the sports, the one sport where I would really buy into it would be the NHL. I think, baseball is a team sport. NFL certainly a team sport. Basketball, you can kind of overtake as an individual. If you were playing against your former team, you can kind of just take over the game. I think in the NHL, you could kind of take over as well. Like Evander Kane is definitely going to have a little bit of a giddy up in his step here today against his former squad. He's going to want to score, but he's just a volume shooter anyways. He's somebody that we've talked a lot about on this show over just since he was acquired by the Oilers. He touches all categories, just throws his body around. He's getting top power play time as well. So I like Evander Kane plus money at 3.5 shots. I do like Patrick Kane as well. You look at the back of the hockey card, he hasn't been hitting consistently. I do trust him a little bit more than a juiced up to Brinkat at 2.5 shots, 3, 5, 2, 3, and 10 shots for Kane over his last few games. And then Mitch Marner. Mitch Marner is man, I've been really surprised with what he's done lately. He's been shooting the puck. He had 1 game where he had 10 shots against the Flames, and that's a stingy hockey team. He's cleared 2.5 in 6 of his past 7. He's got a tougher matchup against the Kraken. They have been stingy defensively, but he's just been shooting so much. He's really, really hard to ignore. And then over to the picks with only 4 games, kind of some chalky picks here for you. If there was one upset, I would lean with Chicago over Winnipeg as the upset, but I've taken 2 teams here to win in 60 so I can get just best possible odds. The Leafs have put in a lot earlier to win in 60 at minus 145. At minus 145 for Minnesota hasn't changed too much either to win in 60. And then the Edmonton Oilers against the San Jose Sharks here. So the Leafs got a date with the Kraken. I think they get right. Offensively, they are rolling a little bit. I know they had the tough loss against Vancouver. Usually we've been attacking the over 6, but I think it's just a little bit too much with the Kraken. I just don't think that they can match the offense. And then this Minnesota Wild team, I'm just all about them, right? I'm just going to take them most times, especially when they're at home in a matchup here against Detroit. I think you could take them on the puck line if you wanted to as well. All right, we'll break. We'll bring in Tino, and we'll talk some NBA. There's a lot of action in the association. Don't go anywhere. All right, we got about 5 minutes for 2 segments. Nothing changing here. Tino, we'll let you take the mic and talk a little bit about the NBA. Do you have any love for the Raptors today? If not, we'll just continue to move on.
I do have love for the Raptors. I also have love for all the people who said we won't see Ben Simmons for a while. Shout out to those who said they will see James Harden before them, because you won't, buddy. He is out until past the All-Star break, so enjoy that, Classic. Fellas. Yeah, I thought he's coming to Tuesday. I guess Delilah's is staying up late tonight. Here we go. We have 4 picks for you guys on the schedule. The Nets, we will keep riding with them. I'll just get that out of the way. They've lost 11 straight, a lot of them by a handful of points. The line has dropped significantly from yesterday. It keeps going down. It's now, I think, at 2.5. It was at 3.5 this morning. I'm just taking a money line either way. No Kyrie Irving. I think he'll start playing home games soon, depending on what happens with the mandate. But we should see Seth. We should see Drummond tonight, barring any setbacks. And look, they got to win eventually. The Kings handled them on the road with Harden. I think one of his last games there, but they blew that game. They got to win eventually, Meanie. I'm just going to keep betting them 11 in a row. They got to win eventually. Too good for this. They're probably still favored to win the NBA championship at this point. So we're going to go Nets money line as the one main dog. After that, we're taking everything under 2 possessions and laying the line here. We're going to take the Bulls in a DeMar DeRozan revenge game. He did not perform well in the revenge game the last time these teams met earlier this year. The Spurs won in San Antonio outright by 9 points. Maybe that's why the line's low. The Spurs, as much as DeJounte Murray's been playing really, really well for them, and I think he's incredibly underrated. The Bulls are just a better team, man. I think Zach LaVine's out. That could adjust to the line, but if I'm getting this under 4, I'm taking it every day of the week, and it's dropped now to 3.5, I think, in some places. So we have 4.5 on here. If you can get it under 4.5, I love it even more. Then we'll go to the Wizards. They're playing the Pistons at home. No Kristaps Porzingis. Shout out to the Unicorn. Like you said, Meanie, you'll never see him. Maybe he never plays for the Wizards this season. But we're getting this. Yeah, we're getting this at 4. They were able to handle the Wizards by 3 in Detroit earlier this year. So again, maybe that's why this line is so low. But the Pistons are 4-24 on the road this year. Another way to put that is not good. They've lost 11 out of the last 12. I'm just not buying this. The Wizards are a better team, even though some people think they've thrown it in for the season. I think they'll still compete with no Bradley Beal, and I think there's a chance Kuzma isn't played for maybe another triple-double like he did against the Brooklyn Nets, and he's been doing well as of late. And then we're going to go with the Raptors. With the Raptors, they've handled the Pelicans by 4 earlier this year, and the only time these teams played. So we're getting under that number with the 3.5, which I love. They finally lost and snapped their winning streak, losing to the Denver Nuggets at home by 1 point. Not going to read too much into that. The Pelicans, although they have McCollum, still, I'm not buying it yet. They have pieces. They're still the Pelicans, 12-15 at home. Enough of this makes me believe that the Raptors should win this. And if they win, I think they'll be able to cover under 4. So some decent plays there. Yeah, 3 favorites. We don't love to take nothing but favorites, especially not road favorites, but they're good teams, right? So bet on good teams long enough. Eventually you make money. So that's what we're going to go with.
I love it. Gary Trent, I mean, I know he had only 11 points against the Nuggets. He didn't shoot the ball all that well. Did play 38 minutes. Man, this guy's prop again at 18.5. It just seems like a number I want to take, right? I mean, he's been consistently kind of living in that like 20-point range with a couple massive performances as well lately. DeRozan is channeling MJ recently. This guy he's been awesome. He's been fantastic. We've been talking about the over points, rebounds, and assists hovering around 36.5, and he's been clearing that as well. Yes, we do got to wrap. We got one more segment. Stick around. I'm just going to give a little bit of love to the Calgary Flames, and it's not all because of Tyler Toffoli. Keep her locked. More to come here on Mean Streets. Welcome back one final time. So a reminder, Mean Streets won't be live the rest of the week on Game Plus Network. We'll be back on Thursday and on Friday. Here you can subscribe to our FTN YouTube page to hang out with us live. We'll have some NHL picks, NBA picks. We'll talk some MLB futures as well. Dangle Bet Selly will be live tomorrow on our FTN YouTube page with Eric Young and myself. So we will dive into a lot of hockey talk as well. And we'll start to really look at futures and see if we can find an edge. So speaking of futures, the Flames are 25-1 over at FanDuel. BetMGM, PointsBet, I'm seeing them at 22-1. Unibet over at 18-1. This will change. With just the addition of Tyler Toffoli, it will change. But like I said, I think that they add as well. And get in on Jacob Markstrom as you can. Appreciate you guys taking the time to hang out. Hopefully you enjoyed the Super Bowl. Good luck tonight with the picks, and we'll be back on Wednesday. Cheers.